Welcome back to our YouTube channel, The Book Digest. In today's episode, we're diving into a powerful and practical summary of The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, so the entire book kicks off with this really radical idea. It basically asks us to question, well, everything we've ever been taught about money. What if all the stuff we think of as normal, car payments, student loans, credit cards, what if that isn't the path to success at all? What if it's actually a trap, one that's been carefully set for us?
And here's the thing, this plan, it doesn't come from some professor in an ivory tower. No, it was forged in the fire of total, complete failure. See, Dave Ramsey wasn't just some guy with theories. He was a real estate millionaire in his 20s who lost it all. I mean, everything.
And that quote right there, it just perfectly sums up the stakes. Imagine this. He and his wife, a newborn baby in their arms, and just mountains of debt closing in. It was from that rock bottom, that place of complete financial collapse, that he was forced to figure out a system that actually works. And this is the key. A system based on human behavior, not just cold hard numbers.
So going through all that, Ramsey figured out what he believes is the real root of the problem for most of us. And it's this. We live in a culture that actively, and I mean actively, sells us on the idea that debt isn't just normal, it's something you need to get by. Yeah, check this out. This is where it gets really interesting, how he breaks down these common beliefs. We're always told that student loans are good debt, right? An investment in our future. But for millions of people, they turn into a burden that lasts for decades. We just accept car payments as a fact of life, but really, they're just siphoning away our biggest wealth-building tool, our own income. Ramsey's whole point is that these are just myths pushed by an industry that makes a ton of money when we stay in debt. So this naturally leads to a pretty tough question we all have to ask ourselves. Honestly, has following that normal path, has it left you living paycheck to paycheck? Do you have little or no savings? Are you just one unexpected bill away from a full-blown crisis? If you're nodding along, the book's argument is that this isn't just bad luck. It's the totally predictable outcome of playing in a flawed system.
Okay, so what's the alternative? If normal is broke, what does not broke look like? Well, Ramsey lays out a super clear, step-by-step plan he calls the baby steps. And let me tell you, the order here is absolutely critical. You have to do them in order, because each step is designed to build the momentum you need to tackle the next one.
And here it is. This is the whole roadmap laid out. It's designed to take you from full-on crisis mode all the way to building real, lasting wealth. And look closely. See how paying off debt is front and center? It happens right after you get a tiny little safety net in place. And notice this too. Investing for the future, that only happens after you've cleaned up the financial mess from your past. All right, it all begins with baby step 1. Your very first mission, should you choose to accept it, is to scrape together $1,000 as fast as you possibly can. I mean, sell stuff you don't need, pick up extra shifts, do whatever you gotta do. Now, this isn't your full emergency fund, not even close. Think of it as a buffer. It's the cash that stops a flat tire from turning into new credit card debt. And that, right there, fundamentally changes how you think about life's little emergencies. Okay, now we get to the real engine of this whole thing, the famous debt snowball. Here's how it works. You list out all of your debts, everything except the house, from the smallest balance to the largest. And here's the controversial part. You ignore the interest rates. Then you attack that smallest debt with every single extra dollar you can find until it's completely gone, kaput. Then you take all the money you are paying on that debt and you roll it over to the next smallest one. See, you're creating this bigger and bigger snowball of money that just demolishes your debts one by one.
And look, I know what you're thinking. The math nerds are screaming right now, but the interest rates. And yes, Ramsey knows this isn't the most mathematically optimal way. Paying off the highest interest rate first would save you more money in interest. But, and this is his whole philosophy in a nutshell, he argues that personal finance is only like 20% math and 80% behavior. When you knock out that first tiny debt, you get a quick, powerful win. And that feeling, that psychological boost, that's the momentum that's going to keep you in the fight for the long haul. So to get through this debt-crushing phase, Ramsey says you need something he calls gazelle intensity. Just picture it, a gazelle being chased by a cheetah. Does it casually jog away? No way. It's an all-out, panicked sprint for its life. And that's how you have to treat your debt for a little while. For a temporary period, maybe 18 to 24 months, you live like that gazelle. That means no restaurants, no vacations, maybe even sell the car with that ridiculous payment. It's a short-term, focused, all-out sprint for a lifetime of financial freedom. And then, once all that consumer debt is gone, that's when the real fun starts.
You take all that money you were throwing at debt and you use it to build up your real emergency fund, a full 3 to 6 months of expenses. Then you start consistently investing 15% of your income for retirement. After that, you can start thinking about saving for your kids' college and paying off the house early. This is the moment you switch from playing defense to playing offense with your money.
But of course, anytime you talk about a plan this radical, you're gonna get some pushback, right? And the number one objection, the one that always comes up, has to do with that little 3-digit number everyone is obsessed with, your credit score.
And people get really worried about this. The thinking is, wait, if I close all my credit cards and pay off all my loans, won't my credit score totally tank? How am I ever going to get a mortgage or even rent an apartment? And honestly, it's a totally valid fear because it's based on the system we've all been taught to believe in.
So this is where Ramsey's take gets really counterintuitive. He calls the FICO score an I love debt score. Think about it. All it really measures is how good you are at borrowing money and paying it back. He argues you can absolutely thrive without one. You can still get a mortgage through something called manual underwriting, where an actual human being looks at your real financial situation, your income, your savings, your assets, instead of just punching a 3-digit number into a computer.
The other big one you always hear is about credit card rewards. You know the line, "Oh, but I pay it off every single month. I'm just getting free flights." Ramsey's response to this is pretty blunt. He points to studies that show people spend on average 12 to 18% more when they use a credit card instead of actual cash. That little 1 or 2% you get back in points, it gets completely wiped out by all the extra spending.
So when you boil it all down, this whole plan isn't really about spreadsheets or interest rates. It's about completely changing your life. It's about getting to a place with your money that, frankly, very few people ever get to experience.
And I think this quote just sums up the entire philosophy perfectly. Financial peace, it isn't about acquiring more stuff. It's not a number in your bank account. It's a state of mind. It's waking up without that knot of fear in your stomach. It's knowing you can handle an emergency without panicking. It's having the power to use your money to actually live your life and be generous to others.
And so the book doesn't just leave you with information, it leaves you with a challenge, a call to action. So I'll pass that question on to you. Looking at your own life right now, today, what is one thing you could sell or one expense you could cut? What's one small, immediate step you could take to start this journey for yourself? Because that is the first step in your own total money makeover.